This is the story of a group of students. If you think this doesn't pertain to you, then you're wrong. Every person in this world is a student, always questioning. Because when it comes to the truth, there's a point when it's not good enough to stay in the dark. At some point, we all wake up. The students in this story are members of the International Honor Society Phi Theta Kappa and can be found here. We had caught wind of a controversial way of drilling for natural gas not too far from campus. It was called Marcellus shale drilling. Therefore, when the society sent us the study topic, the democratization of information, in January of 2010, we decided to focus on government and public policy when it comes to this controversial drilling process. We began studying Marcellus shale and how people get information. We found that most information is passed by word of mouth, so we went out on campus to find out what students' opinions were. The results were startling.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and ask one of these guys over here what they know about Marcellus shale.
Crystalline Dubois.
Jerome Wesley.
My name is Madison Reeves.
Patricia Laska,
Editor-in-Chief of the Allegheny View newspaper.
I just moved here like 2 months ago, and I keep hearing these words, Marcellus shale, and I know it has something to do with it's very bad for the environment, and I know that it's something to do with going into the ground and doing something.
Hey, does anybody here know anything about Marcellus shale?
No, sorry, I don't. The rock formation underneath Pennsylvania and the rigs that are drilling it to get gas out of it? No.
The companies that are drilling are using unsafe practices, which is contaminating the waters.
Those commercials with farmers saying, boy, this is a really great idea. Now I don't have to farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you not have to farm because somebody drilled something?
I keep like relating it to the word fracking, which I'm not sure if that's right. Is it not? Is it fracking? Yeah, which I still don't quite understand. Because I've never heard of these words before I like moved to Pennsylvania. They're totally foreign to me.
And what do you know about the Marcellus shale?
nothing.
I hear a lot of people do not want it to happen, so that tells me that it's not a good idea.
Do you ever think about what's in your water?
Yes, I do.
If there was something wrong with the water, we wouldn't be drinking it, or if we were, I'd start drinking other stuff, probably. Red wine's actually a pretty good thing to try.
So they want to do this in Allegheny County now?
Yeah, they've actually already started in Allegheny County.
They've started the leases already.
Now, who approved of it, though? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the environmental problems, but it's like, it seems like if there are environmental problems, right, that it could really lead to greater costs in the future that maybe are even unforeseen.
Do you feel the government should protect us environmentally wise?
Yes.
Okay, great. Such a huge impact, just not even an hour away on what's going on. and these people have no clue.
So what is Marcellus shale, really? We are determined to find the truth. Our first interview was with reporter Andrew Conti of the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, and it ended up being the tip of the iceberg.
All right, so we're going to make contact with the DEP. Joy's going to speak more with the chem teacher to get something set up with her. We're going to get residents who have been drilled, who are going through the leases, the gas company, which you have contact with them. We're just waiting back to hear from them. More students, more so in the science field. In November 3rd, we're going to do the rally. November 4th, we're going up to the IEP for all the speakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Marcellus Shale is a layer of rock. It's a geological formation that runs under all of western Pennsylvania and really all of Appalachia. And what's amazing about it is that it includes 10 times the amount of gas, of all the gas that's ever come out of Appalachia before, is in the Marcellus Shale. So it's a really lucrative line of rock, and it's why so many companies are interested in drilling into it. A lot of the concern has been about the fracking process. That's the process where, so when they drill down and they drill across, they put in anywhere from 1 million to 6 or 7 million gallons of water, sand, and chemicals into the ground to break up the rock. And then when they break up the shale, that's when all the gas is released and it comes to the surface. A lot of the concern has been about contamination from that fracking process. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is working on a study right now about what kind of contamination there is from that process.
Study first started its focus on government and public policy. But what happens when there isn't enough public policy? We found that, like every issue, there are both pros and cons. The question here is, do we drill or not drill? We studied both sides of the issue and challenge you to make your own determination. At first glance, all we could see were the negatives.
Here are pale Pennsylvania's lands for sale with a frick-track, paddywhack, give our land away. We'll regret it every day.
So they hold all this water in a man-made lake. Sometimes it's 10 or 15 million gallons of water. That's fresh water. They put it down the hole with chemicals in it. Then about half that water comes back up, and they have to hold it somewhere. In Pennsylvania, they're allowed to put it into an impoundment. And what's happened is that oftentimes the impoundments, they get a tear in them, or they will overflow the banks, or something will happen where the water will get released from the impoundment. While I said there wasn't any, I didn't know of any big contamination. There have been, over the first 6 months of this year, I believe something like, no, I take that back, since 2008, something like 1,000 violations that the DEP has found. I can get you the report. Is that it's, no matter where you go, even the industry admits this, it's an industrial site at the very beginning. There's no question. So what you're doing is taking rural areas, places that where there's been farming typically before, or park areas. One place I went to was a forest, and what they have to do is they have to go in and clear out a few acres, and then they bring in a lot of trucks. There's a lot of water that's involved, a lot of chemicals that they use to drill into the ground. And so there's no question it's an industrial site for a while when they first start out. And so that's, if you live near it and you're not getting any benefit from it, those are the people who are most upset.